Stop what you are doing. If you have a garden bed, a raised box, a few containers on a back porch, or even a single pot sitting in a sunny corner, what I am about to tell you is worth more than anything you will buy at a garden center this entire season. It is July, and right now, at this exact moment, most home gardeners across America are making one of the most costly mistakes of the entire growing year without realizing it is a mistake at all. They believe the planting season is behind them. The tomatoes went in back in May. The zucchini is doing its thing. The beans have been picked. And somewhere quietly, without ever making a conscious decision about it, they have decided that the next seed they put in the ground will go in next April. So the beds sit empty, bare soil, wasted weeks, perfect growing conditions going unused every single day. Here is what those gardeners do not know. And here is what separates a garden that feeds you 9 months of the year from one that feeds you 4. July soil is the warmest it will be all year. A seed that needed 14 slow, cold days to crack open in April will push through the surface in 4 or 5 days right now. The ground is primed. The days are still long, and there are 15 vegetables sitting in seed packets right now that will go from soil to your kitchen before the first frost takes everything. Some of them are ready to eat in 3 weeks. One of them, number 15 on this list, has a hard biological deadline. Miss this planting window by even 2 weeks and it will not have enough time to mature. But plant it now this week, not next week, and it will be sitting on your Thanksgiving table in November. Fresh, from your own backyard, while everyone else is reaching for a freezer bag. This is PlantEdge, where we give you the science your garden center tag leaves out. Let's go through all 15. Before we jump in, do me a quick favor. If you're serious about growing your own food the right way, with real botany behind every decision, hit that subscribe button right now. Number 1. Cucumbers. Here is something most gardeners experience but never think to fix. By mid-July, the cucumber plants that went into the ground in May are finished. Powdery mildew has taken the leaves. The vines look rough. Production has slowed to almost nothing. Most people accept this as the natural end of cucumber season and move on. The move that changes everything. Plant a fresh succession round right now. July soil germinates cucumber seeds in 4 to 6 days, faster than any spring planting you have ever done. And a plant that goes in now hits its production peak in September, when the heat of August has broken, disease pressure is lower, and cucumbers come off the vine crisper and more flavorful than anything they produced in the middle of summer. Most varieties reach harvest in 60 to 70 days. Plant today. Cucumbers on your counter by mid-September. The one management habit that separates productive cucumber plants from struggling ones: grow them vertically. A trellis, a fence panel, a few bamboo poles lashed together. Anything that takes the vines off the ground. Vines lying on soil sit in stagnant air. Powdery mildew thrives in those conditions and spreads fast. Vertical vines get airflow around every leaf surface. The pathogen cannot establish. The fruit hangs in open space. Visible, easy to find. Picked at the right size before it ever turns bitter or swells to the point of seed hardening. 1 July planting, grown vertically. Fresh cucumbers straight through September. Number 2. Zucchini. The squash vine borer is the reason so many American gardeners have quietly given up on zucchini. The moth lays its eggs at the base of the stem in late spring and early June. The larvae hatch, tunnel into the vine from the inside, and the plant collapses from within. It wilts suddenly. It looks like a disease. Most people never identify the actual cause, which is why they keep losing plants to it year after year. Here is the timing that changes everything. In most northern and midwestern regions, zones 5, 6, and 7, the squash vine borer moth completes its primary egg-laying cycle by late June and into early July. A zucchini plant that goes into the ground now misses that window entirely. By the time it is large enough to be a target, the moth has moved on. Seeds germinate in 4 to 7 days in warm July soil. First fruit appears in 40 to 50 days. For gardeners in Zone 8 and warmer, vine borers in your region can run 2 generations per season. Row covers over young plants for the first 3 weeks give you the same protection. Harvest at 6 to 8 inches. Every time you pick, the plant pushes out 2 more. Every time you leave one to grow past that size, the plant reads it as a reproductive success and slows down. One July planting, managed correctly, produces through late September. Number 3. Bush beans. Most gardeners plant bush beans once in spring, harvest through June, watch production slow, and assume that is just how beans work. It is not how beans work. It is how one planting of beans works. Bush beans seeded in July germinate in 8 to 10 days in warm summer soil. They reach harvest in 50 to 55 days. That puts fresh beans on your table in September, when cooler temperatures bring out a sweetness and tenderness in the pods that summer beans simply never have. For July germination, one thing matters above everything else: keeping the seed moist until it breaks the surface. July heat dries the top inch of soil within hours of watering on a hot afternoon. A thin layer of straw mulch over the seeded row holds surface moisture through the heat of the day without blocking emergence. Check the bed once a day. The moment seedlings push through, pull the mulch back slightly to give them light. That single habit is the difference between reliable July germination and a bed that never comes up. Number 4. Radishes. Radishes have a reputation for being sharp and unpleasantly bitter. That reputation comes almost entirely from 2 problems that are completely avoidable. The first is bolting. Radishes are triggered to send up a flower stalk by a combination of heat and long days. A radish planted in early July is maturing during the longest, hottest stretch of summer. The result is pithy, hollow, aggressively bitter. The fix is simple. Plant radishes in the second half of July. Seeds going in around the 20th or later are maturing in August and into September, when both day length and temperatures are falling. Cooler maturation means sweeter roots, milder heat, and a crispness that early summer radishes never deliver. The second problem is leaving them in the ground too long. Most varieties are ready in 22 to 28 days. Past that window, they go hollow and intensely sharp within a matter of days. Check your seed packet for days to maturity. Mark the date. Pull them on time. A radish pulled at exactly the right moment, crisp, bright with just a measured heat, tastes nothing like anything that comes in a plastic bag. It is a completely different vegetable. Number 5. Lettuce. Lettuce has a built-in ceiling. When air temperatures consistently push above 80 degrees, most varieties shift from making leaves to making a flower stalk. The leaves flood with bitter compounds. The plant is done. This is bolting, and it is the reason most American gardeners abandon summer lettuce entirely. But there is a solution that works without special equipment or difficult techniques. Shade. Lettuce planted where it receives afternoon shade, under a tomato cage, beside a taller crop, along a fence that blocks western sun, experiences soil temperatures 10 to 15 degrees lower than lettuce baking in full sun. That buffer is often enough to hold the plant in leaf production mode through the heat of August. At your local garden center, look for packets labeled slow bolt or heat tolerant. These are widely available and bred specifically to hold up in summer conditions. Plant in a shaded position. Choose a slow bolt variety. Harvest the outer leaves while leaving the center intact. The plant keeps producing new growth from the inside out for weeks from a single planting. Number 6. Carrots. Carrots are the most complained about July planting in American home gardens, and nearly every complaint traces back to the same cause. Carrot seeds are tiny. They sit in the top quarter inch of soil. In July heat, that surface layer dries out completely within hours of watering. The seeds desiccate before they can germinate. Gardeners water, nothing comes up. They sow again. Same result. They conclude carrots are difficult. They are not difficult. They are being failed by one specific condition. Here is the fix. After sowing, lay a single piece of burlap or a flat wooden board directly over the seeded row. That covering holds moisture in the surface layer through the heat of the day. Check underneath every morning. The moment tiny green sprouts appear, remove the covering immediately so they receive full light. This single step takes July carrot germination from frustrating and inconsistent to reliable. For variety selection, choose Danvers or Nantes types. They are shorter and stockier than longer varieties and push through average summer garden soil without requiring the deep, perfectly loosened channels that larger carrots need. Plant now. Harvest sweet, cold weather-kissed roots in October and November. Number 7. Kale. Most people think of kale as a spring vegetable. The gardeners who plant it in July and leave it in the ground through the first hard frost of fall are eating something genuinely different by October. When temperatures drop below freezing, kale converts its stored starches into sugars. It is a survival mechanism the plant has refined over centuries of cold climate adaptation. The leaves that come after a frost are noticeably sweeter, more tender, and milder than anything the same plant produced through summer. This is why autumn kale commands a premium at farmers' markets. This is why restaurants highlight it on fall menus. It is not marketing. It is biochemistry. Plant kale now and the summer heat does not hurt it. Kale handles temperatures that wilt most garden vegetables. It grows steadily through August and September. And then October arrives, the nights drop, and the plant you put in the ground in July becomes the best thing in your garden. Lacinato, also called dinosaur kale, and red Russian are the two varieties most consistently recommended for fall harvest quality. Harvest the outer leaves. Leave the center growing. One plant produces through November, and in mild zones well into December. Number 8. Swiss chard. While spinach bolts, lettuce goes bitter, and most leafy greens collapse by August, Swiss chard keeps going. It handles summer heat better than almost any green available to American home gardeners. It handles the first light frosts of fall. It bridges the full gap between summer and autumn without slowing. One thing most people never discover until they grow their own. Charred leaves and charred stems are two distinct ingredients in the kitchen. The leaves wilt in a hot pan in under 2 minutes, exactly like spinach. The stems need 4 to 5 additional minutes on their own. Cut the stems away from the leaves at harvest. Cook the stems first. Add the leaves at the end. One plant gives you 2 textures, 2 behaviors, 2 different uses from a single cutting. The rainbow or celebration variety, stems in deep red, bright yellow, orange, and white, is among the most visually striking vegetables you can grow in a summer garden. Plant it now. Harvest through November. Number 9. New Zealand spinach. Traditional spinach cannot survive July. The combination of heat and long days causes it to bolt within days of germination in midsummer. Most gardeners accept that spinach is a spring and fall crop and simply go without leafy greens through the hottest months. New Zealand spinach, Tetragonia tetragonioides, is a different plant entirely, solving the exact problem traditional spinach cannot. The flavor is mild, slightly earthier, and functions identically to conventional spinach in cooked applications. Sautéed in soups, folded into eggs. What does that traditional spinach cannot? Grow through July, August, and September in full summer heat without bolting. It spreads low and wide, tolerates drought far better than any conventional leafy green, and produces continuously as long as you keep harvesting. Plant seeds now in warm July soil. Germination takes 10 to 14 days. Soak seeds overnight beforehand to accelerate that. Pick the tender growing tips regularly. The more you harvest, the more the plant branches. The more it branches, the more it produces. It is the summer leafy green most American gardeners have never tried and most wish they had found sooner. Number 10. Beets. Most Americans have eaten beets from a can. That experience, slightly metallic, uniformly soft, sweet in a flat way, has nothing in common with a beet pulled fresh from the ground. A beet harvested at exactly the right size and roasted the same day is earthy and rich and sweet in a way that makes people understand for the first time why anyone grows them. July planted beets take 55 to 70 days to mature, ready in late September and into October when cool temperatures have naturally concentrated the sugars in the root. The harvest window is specific. Pull beets when the shoulder of the root, the portion visible above the soil line, is between 2 and 3 inches across. Past that point, texture becomes woody, the sweetness fades, and the eating quality drops sharply. The window is real. Respect it. Chioggia beets, the Italian heirloom with alternating pink and white rings inside, are among the most visually striking root vegetables available to American home gardeners right now. Cut one open, and it looks like it belongs in a food magazine. Plant them now, and you will have something genuinely beautiful to pull from your garden this fall. Number 11. Arugula. Prepackaged arugula at the grocery store is almost always older than it appears. Arugula begins losing its volatile aromatic compounds, the ones responsible for its signature peppery character, within 24 to 48 hours of harvest. By the time it reaches a store shelf, most of that flavor is already gone. What remains is flat, slightly bitter, and gives most people an inaccurate picture of what arugula actually is. Fresh arugula, cut and eaten the same day, has a bright, clean, peppery bite with a slight nuttiness underneath that disappears almost immediately after harvest. It is a fundamentally different ingredient. For July growing, one management habit matters above everything else. Harvest small. Baby arugula at 2 to 3 inches is mild, bright, and genuinely delicious. Full-size mature leaves are intensely peppery and bitter enough to overwhelm most dishes. Harvest at 21 to 25 days. Cut with scissors. Leave the roots in place. New leaves grow from the base within 10 to 12 days. Plant a small patch every 2 weeks and you have continuous mild, fresh arugula from late summer through fall. Number 12. Turnips. Turnips have an image problem in America, and it comes from one thing. Most people have only ever eaten large, old turnips. A turnip left in the ground past its prime becomes starchy, fibrous, and aggressively sharp. That is the version most Americans know. Here is what they are missing. Pull a turnip at golf ball size, roughly 2 inches across, and it is a completely different vegetable. Mild, slightly sweet, crisp enough to eat raw, closer in character to a radish than to what most people picture when they hear the word turnip. And that is only the first harvest from a single planting. Turnip greens, the leafy tops, are edible from day 30 onward, a full 2 to 3 weeks before the roots are ready. They cook exactly like mustard greens, slightly peppery, tender, and nutritionally dense. One packet of seeds gives you greens in a month and roots in 6 to 7 weeks, 2 separate vegetables from a single planting. Hakurei, the Japanese salad turnip, is the variety that has converted more turnip skeptics than anything else available in America right now. Smooth, white, genuinely mild raw. Find it at specialty seed suppliers or online. Plant now for roots and greens through September and October. Number 13. Collard greens. Collard greens are the toughest leafy vegetable available to American home gardeners. Tougher than kale, hardier than chard, more cold-tolerant than almost anything else you can put in a summer garden. In Zone 7 and warmer, which covers the entire American South, much of the Mid-Atlantic, the Pacific Coast, and parts of the Midwest, collard planted in July produce fresh leaves straight through fall and into early winter. The first frost does not end them. It improves them. The same starch-to-sugar conversion that sweetens kale works in collard, and it goes even deeper. The flavor transformation after the first cold night is not subtle. It is significant. In Zones 5 and 6, a hard freeze in November will eventually close the season, but not before 2 to 3 months of the best collard greens of the year. Space plants 18 inches apart. They get large. Harvest the lower outer leaves first. The plant keeps producing upward from the center for months after your first cutting. One collard plant put in the ground in July produces more than most households can keep pace with from September through your first hard freeze. Number 14. Scallions. Most gardening content focuses on plants that need months to show results. Scallions operate on a completely different timeline. Push seeds into warm July soil today. Sprouts break the surface in 7 to 10 days. Harvest-ready scallions in 60 days, with baby scallions even sooner if you cannot wait. They take almost no space. A 6-inch strip along the edge of any bed holds enough to supply a kitchen for months. The harvest method most gardeners skip. Do not pull the whole plant. Snip the green tops with scissors about an inch above the soil surface. The base stays in the ground. New tops regenerate in 10 to 14 days. One July planting gives you 2 full cuttings, sometimes 3 if the weather stays mild through fall. Fresh scallions on eggs, in salads, on grilled meat. Having them steps from your kitchen on demand all through late summer and fall is one of those small daily things that makes home gardening feel genuinely worth the effort. Number 15. Brussels sprouts. This is the one everything else has been building toward. Brussels sprouts need 80 to 100 days to reach harvest. Plant them in July, harvest in October and November. Wait until August and they will not finish before frost in most of the country. Wait until September and the season is over for Brussels sprouts in nearly every U.S. growing region. July is not a suggestion for this vegetable. It is a hard deadline. In zones 3 through 6, the upper Midwest, New England, the mountain states, start seeds indoors right now and transplant seedlings out in 2 to 3 weeks. July heat will not hurt transplants as long as you water consistently through establishment. In Zone 7 and warmer, the Mid-Atlantic, the South, the Pacific Coast, direct sowing into the garden works. Now here is the part that changes how most Americans think about this vegetable. The Brussels sprouts most people have eaten were harvested weeks before purchase and held cold through shipping and distribution. Fresh Brussels sprouts cut from the stalk in your own garden after the first hard frost of November have a natural sweetness and a nutty depth of flavor that the grocery store version cannot replicate. The cold triggers that same starch-to-sugar conversion that transforms kale and collard. In Brussels sprouts, that conversion is dramatic. A sprout touched by a November frost tastes fundamentally different from anything that ever came out of a freezer bag. This Thanksgiving, while everyone else opens a bag from the freezer aisle, you will walk into your backyard and cut a full stalk of fresh Brussels sprouts that you planted in July. That moment is worth planting this week. 15 vegetables. 15 reasons your garden does not have to stop producing until November takes it from you. The soil is warm. The days are still long, and every seed you put in the ground this week is a harvest you would have missed entirely if you had stopped in June like most gardeners do. Pick one today. Start there. Which one is it? Drop it in the comments and tell us your zone. Someone gardening in your exact climate is reading those comments right now. If this is the kind of science your garden center never tells you, subscribe to PlantEdge. This is exactly what we are here for.